What are you watching today?
Well, when you look at internals, when you look at technicals, based on every single measure of being short-term oversold, we had already checked those boxes going into today. And then today things got worse, which I think is a really good lesson for investors and traders, that oversold doesn't mean the coast is clear. You could always get more oversold. I think what's interesting right now, the S&P at its low today, down more than 10%. In 5 days, that's only happened 4 times in history, 2011, 2015, and then during the dot-com bubble and burst, and during the great financial crisis. So this is very, very extreme activity.
Hey, on that note, I'll let you pick up in a second. To your point, Bespoke today tweets out, to understand the magnitude of the drop and the swiftness in which we've seen it, if the S&P 500 today closes below 3,047.53, today, tomorrow, or Monday, it will be the fastest 10% decline from an all-time high in the S&P 500's history.
Yeah, it's never happened before. But unprecedented things happen all the time. Here's what I thought was interesting, though. There are stocks that are going up. Netflix got itself green. Unbelievable.
Marriott's green.
Yeah. I also think, look at All Country World Index ex-US. The ETF to track that index is ACWX. The S&P might be down 10% over the last 5 days, but the rest of the world is only down 7%. I know it doesn't make people feel better, but it's interesting that international stocks, which were not at record highs and were not doing well all year, fell less. I think the NASDAQ falling more bolsters that point. The most overbought, the most expensive assets came down the hardest, ex-energy stocks. I think that's interesting. Last thing on this, energy might have finally put in a capitulation low. Energy down 15% in just a couple of days. This is extraordinary activity in an industry group and in a sector that is already 40 or 50% from its highs. That, to me, looks capitulation-like. I would also throw transports into that category, down massively after already having been down. So I'm looking at those things. I'm looking at stocks like Zoom, which I own, up 9%, new high post-IPO. Teladoc, which I own, we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
People are still looking for opportunities in this tape, even despite the carnage. I find that interesting.
Erin, we've destroyed about 3,000 Dow points. Points don't tell the story. It's a percentage game. We get it, but still, that nonetheless helps tell the story of the destruction that we've seen. We haven't heard from you in a while. It's good to have you here. What are you thinking about the markets?
Well, first, in terms of what I'm watching the VIX, I'm watching credit spreads, and I'm watching oil prices. With respect to the VIX, we've reached 30. That's an important level. It's an important level for the managed vol sellers. Above that level, there's about $30 billion of supply today alone that they need to sell. In addition to that, you also have the trend followers who have another additional about $30 billion of supply to sell. So, you know, the higher we move on VIX, the more you're going to see the systematic guys kicking in, which is why, exactly to Josh's point earlier, despite the fact that we're breaching all these levels in terms of technicals, we still have more downside to come.
Yeah.
So really need to see the VIX stabilize, to see the systematic guys also stabilize.
The CTAs were all on the same side.
Absolutely.
So they all have the same trade to do.
Exactly. And
that's not great for them, but it's great if you're going the other way.
So yeah, but the higher the VIX moves, the more they're going to have to sell.
Yeah,
it's a virtuous circle.